Cricbuzz Chatter time once again. It's the end of the first test match in Kanpur. New Zealand and India doing battle and battling it out. They did. It ebbed and flowed. It was all over the place for 4.5 to 5 days. India are on top. New Zealand were on top. It was all happening in Kanpur. India 345 all out. New Zealand 296 on the back of Tom Latham and Ajaz Patel with 5 wickets there. India replying and declaring 234 for 7. SHREYAS IYER back to back. He went 100 in the first innings, a half century in the second. And New Zealand 165 for 9. Tom Latham 52 not out. Match has ended in a draw. New Zealand managed to steal some points in the World Test Championship race, which is great news for New Zealand. Not so good for India, I would imagine. And I don't know, as I introduced Dinesh Karthik, 15 Indians or people of Indian origin on the field right at the end of the game, DK. 15 of them. One born in Mumbai, one born in New Zealand, the other 13 all born in India. And it was a couple of Indian origin Kiwis that got New Zealand to save the test match. How are you? Nice to see you. And what did you make of it all?
Oh, what a test match it's been, isn't it? You know, I've been obviously hearing you on air, but looks like you guys had a lot of fun. But most importantly, what a test match it's been. It's ebbed and flowed. It's gone in various directions. People have pulled in various directions. You know, every time India throws a punch, New Zealand throws one back, and that's how it kept going. But in the end, all's well that ends well. And I think both teams will go back with a little bit of smile. India constantly being pushed by New Zealand, but they found answers consistently, came back, and then, you know, kind of gave them the sucker punch in the second session. But, you know, New Zealand, you can never write them away. You saw how obviously the ability for the lower order batsmen, just like the Indians, but in this case, a different sort of adaptability, just coming there and doing their bit and, you know, playing the spinners who did their best, but just couldn't get the final, just put the final nail in the coffin. But yeah, it's been a terrific test match.
Well, we know that Test cricket ebbs and flows. It's ups and downs. There's ifs, there's buts. We all look at things after and say, could we have done this better? Could we have done this better? Should I bowl this guy here? The captains will be sitting there going, what could I have changed? How could I have influenced the game slightly differently? Do you think India could have done anything differently? Was an earlier declaration? I know Ajinkya Rahane was asked these questions afterwards as well. Could there have been an earlier declaration? Could he have done anything different today? Or is that just a great test match?
No, I think it was just a great test match. If at all anything, you got to be angry with nature, the light. I think, you know, it ate away quite a few of the overs that could have been possible. But that's the beauty of Test cricket. Over 5 days, they kept fighting, you know, each one trying their best to somehow find a way to the top of the summit. But at the end, you know, I would think it was a good declaration because, you know, considering how they were in the morning of 4th day when, you know, the backs against the wall, 5 wickets down. But good to see the lower order coming and contributing. When something like that happens, it kind of changes, throws the spanner in your works, because you're then not exactly able to decide when to, you know, start pushing, because you always have this fear that when you look for runs, if you lose a wicket, maybe you'd get all out. So you always take your time, try and get to a safe place before declaring, which is what India did. And you could see, and hence maybe it was a little late, but definitely right decision, because you would rather be late and make sure the game is in your hands than, you know, give something to the opponent after having fought so hard.
Night watchman, Will Somerville. Look, I knew he could bat. I knew he had ability with the bat. I knew he had stick ability. He averaged, I think, 49 deliveries per test match innings prior to today. But 110 balls for his 36. That little partnership wasn't even little, was it? With Tom Latham to bat right through the first session. Just sensational stuff from Latham and from Somerville. That kind of set the day for New Zealand. I don't think New Zealand were ever going to chase the runs. I don't think they were ever thinking about chasing the runs. It was always a surface where, you know, 2.5 and over or less was quite possible. But anything more than that was almost dangerous if you were going to chase after it, particularly how well the Indian spinners were bowling. So, you know, for me, it was all down to that Somerville Latham partnership at the start, and then that New Zealand middle order just crumbled. It fell away. There was such great, I think, ups and downs throughout the test match. This night watchman thing. I mean, did you watch much of that this morning, DK, and think, how do we not get this guy out? I mean, these are the most frustrating times, aren't they? As a cricketer, as a bowler, and as a captain or a keeper, you're thinking, gosh, this guy's just frustrating the heck out of us time and time again. The night watchman, it's an old one, but geez, he played well this morning.
Oh, brilliant. Yesterday when you said that New Zealand, if they want to draw the game, they might just lose the one wicket of William Somerville and nothing else in that session would be a great session. And I was thinking those are high hopes, maybe you were just hoping that would happen. But William Somerville made it happen. He didn't even let his wicket go. And, I definitely saw the first session and you could see he's got a strong defense. He's got a very open chested defense. So always the ball coming back in wouldn't trouble him, but the ball going out is the one that would trouble him. But in this case, the wicket was too slow. There wasn't enough nip for the ball to turn and go away. So he made use of it. The conditions suited him. He batted really well. But the most important thing, I think he found a place where he irritated India to a point because, they threw everything they had at him. But, he kept giving back answers in the form of defense. He didn't do anything else. And at a point, you thought, like, how am I going to get you out of this wicket? It's keeping low. It isn't turning too much. There isn't too much bounce on offer. And they've tried everything, but he constantly, the one thing in these kind of slow wickets is if you have confidence in your defense and you're not worried about the ball keeping low, which is going to hit your pad, then you will come forward enough to get on top of it. And that's what he did really well. He kept his left leg outside the line, but consistently kept defending it perfectly. It was just great to watch. Also, do you think in a way it sums up how New Zealanders play their cricket? Hard fought, less talent, but give everything you got sort of a situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so spot on. I mean, that team as a whole, and I know Trent Bolt's not here, and they're missing one or two others, but it's just that whole team in general. That's how they play. That's how they've played their Test match cricket. They have to fight from 1 to 11 because we have one or two world-class players now, maybe three, but as a team unit, that's how this team has been successful, whether it be at home or whether it be away. And they gel together, they fight for each other, and it showed that right through to the end with Ajaz Patel and a debutant in Rachin Ravindra. So I'm really happy for the New Zealand side today. I think there were some real standouts throughout the Test match and some great moments as well throughout the Test match. We talk about Rachin Ravindra on debut. I think now there's another debutant we need to talk about because I need to put you today on the hot spot. This is not going to be easy, DK, but you are going to go on the hot spot. Shreyas Iyer is undroppable. He's undroppable, surely, for this Test match. Versus Rahane, who do they drop? Who do they leave out? In this second Test in Mumbai, who do India leave out?
I would think, obviously, I think with every passing game, the pressure is just mounting on him. And with Shreyas Iyer coming in and doing as well as he'd done, I do think, obviously, Rahane, which has happened before, where in the tour of South Africa, he was dropped for a game before he came back. So it could well happen here. I don't see it as obviously something that's long term. Rahane is a quality player and he'll come back. But there is no harm if he's just getting dropped for a game and he will definitely come back in the playing 11 whenever necessary. So I don't see any harm if Rahane or Shreyas Iyer, obviously with so much performance that Shreyas Iyer has given this Test match, literally taken the batting on his own to a very safe place for India. I think he's done really well for himself. And it's not like Rahane has been out of, hasn't got runs for just a few Test matches. I think it's been going on for some time now. And hence, obviously, it'll ease a little bit of the pressure on him as well. I don't think it's such a bad thing for him to be dropped. Since obviously, if you do look at the stat, it's been it says from 2021 and he's averaged less than 20. In fact, from the start of 2020, he averages just midway about 25, 26, which is not good because he's somebody who sets very high standards. He's batted brilliantly before. He's done really well for India. He's been actually the man for crisis. Every time India has been under pressure, Rahane is the man that they've gone looking after. So, rather Rahane is the person that they've gone to because he's the one who's put his hand up and, kind of removed India from a very terrible situation at various points of times in Test matches. I do think a similar baggage is there on Pujara as well. He hasn't got 100 in about 39 tests, and from the start of 2020, he has averaged mid 20s as well, with a 27, 29. And these are two players who have set their standards very high for a long period of time, and they would know they haven't performed up to expectations. They haven't got 100 in a long time, especially Pujara. He's only got 50s. He's somebody who's known to score big runs. So I do think they're aware that their performances at an international level probably are not enough, but they're lucky in a way because there aren't too many middle order batsmen in India at this point of time as well. Surya Kumar is the next, and Hanuma Vihari. Obviously is now with the India A team, but there is nobody else beyond these two in the backup as well. So obviously they don't. I mean, I don't think Pujara and Rahane will be under so much stress, because I do think obviously they'll keep coming back. There is no doubt about it. Indian cricket will obviously benefit whenever they've done well, but at this point of time, I think both of them would know they haven't performed up to expectations, and that's fair enough. I think, from the start of the pandemic, obviously Test cricket has been sporadic as well, so you can't fault them too much. But I think both those individuals know that for the standards that they've set in the starting
Yeah.
5-6 years of their career, they haven't lived up to in this last 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I think, you've got to have pressure from the outside. If you're going to drop someone, you have to have someone better to replace them with. That's the one thing they'll argue with. So many people on social media, he can't play. He should be dropped. Okay, tell me who should play. Tell me why. Give me reasons. Let's talk about it. That's one of the things. If the top order has struggled, then to me, the middle order and the lower order batsmen have been unbelievably good from an Indian point of view. When you think about what they've been able to do in the last year and a half, you go back to all of these test matches, Sydney, Brisbane, Chennai, look at those numbers from where India were and the recovery that they've made. There's a couple of lowish ones in there, 127 to 191 at the Oval. But look at what the lower order batting has done, and the work that these guys have put in, whether it be Ashwin, whether it be Jadeja, whether it be a Shardul Thakur along the way. So many of these guys in this middle to lower order for India. Ashwin in this test match, Saha in this test match. That's what's impressed me the most. And we're so long, I think, talked about India's bowlers unable to bat and having to learn to bat. That's been the biggest thing about Indian cricket, I think, that has improved immensely. They've got them from middling scores, low scores, to good scores, to high scores that they've been able to defend time and time again. Ashwin has been exceptional throughout this test match. He's now past Harbhajan Singh with the ball. He's contributing again with the bat time and time again. So I just love, I love the way he plays his cricket. His numbers are exceptional. Look at that average, 80 test matches, 419 wickets, average of 24. People will also say he performs so much better at home. Find me a bowler that doesn't perform so much better at home. They are very limited to find guys that don't enjoy bowling in their own conditions and don't have quite the same success overseas. They are certainly there, but there's not many of them. And Ashwin is just one of those guys who performs brilliantly at home. He performs very well away, but it's just not quite as much of a standout in his career. So, yeah, look, he's a guy, again, that holds that middle and lower order together. And to me, I think Ravi Ashwin has been superb for India throughout this test match. Look forward to more from him in that second test match in Mumbai as well. Just a reminder of where things sit in this test match as well. I mean, we've drawn the first one. It's a 2-test series, of course. The World Test Championship points up for grabs in this 2-test series. New Zealand will feel very, very good about having denied India these points. I think that's a massive, massive draw for New Zealand. Ravindra, it was superb on debut. Akshar Patel, superb. I guess at the back end, what did he face? 23 deliveries for Akshar. Ravindra, 91 deliveries for his 18. That's been the key from a New Zealand point of view to get themselves through this. It was a tough test to watch. I think for a lot of people, it was a slowish surface. That was one of the issues from the ground staff, I think, and from the ground itself. A slowish surface that didn't really allow for free scoring, free flowing batting. So I don't think New Zealand were ever going to try and hunt down that score, even though they were none down at lunch and losing that wicket straight after. There was a little bit of aggression from Kane Williamson and Tom Latham in that second session, but then once they lost that wicket, it just slowed right down. Taylor went quickly, Nichols went quite quickly. From that time on, for New Zealand, it was all about a draw. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost Dinesh Karthik. The internet playing havoc with us throughout this Cricbuzz Chatter segment, unfortunately. So hopefully it's not been cutting out for you. And hopefully you've certainly enjoyed DK's input. I think he's trying to make his way back now. DK, are you with us again? Are you back?
Very much. I'm so kind of relieved it's come back. It's playing a bit like the Kanpur wicket, the internet. It's a bit slow.
Yeah, a little bit
it's
slow
not
and low.
So, I wanted to ask you this, but before that, let's fast forward. I want to ask you something that's very, very important. What would your choice be for the 11 when they meet up in Bombay for the Indian team?
The Indian team, I think, gosh, it's hard to drop one of the spinners and play Mohammad Siraj, but that is certainly an option for me. Look, I said it yesterday, and I said it on commentary again today. I think for me, I think I have to drop Ajinkya Rahane. Unfortunately, he's got to miss out for Virat Kohli. The skipper's got to come back in. There's no issue there. Saha, if he's got problems with his neck, well then KS Bharat definitely comes in for that. So that could be just a straight injury replacement. And Mohammad Siraj, I would bring Siraj in for Ishant Sharma. I just don't think I saw enough out of Ishant Sharma in this Test match. And if India decide to go with the two seamers and the three spinners again, which I don't see any reason why they shouldn't, I'm a big fan. I said it yesterday. Pick your best bowlers. If your best bowlers are your three spinners at the moment, New Zealand have struggled against the spin, so therefore I have no problem. But I would replace Siraj and bring him in, and I would leave Ishant Sharma out. I'd bring KS Bharat in for Wriddhiman Saha if that neck is still playing, having some issues for him. And I bring, obviously, skipper Kohli in for Ajinkya Rahane for that Test match. And that would be my 11. So 3 changes to the Indian side for me. And, you know, it might sound a bit harsh after a fairly a winning draw, I will say. They were on top for most of the last day, but they're the 3 changes I would make.
Now, tell me this, Julie, as a fast bowler, why do you think the New Zealand Pacers got so much more wickets than the Indian Pacers? Was it the length?
Just better. Yeah, I think they're just better bowlers at the moment. I think, and you know, I know we talk about Umesh Yadav being very good in India conditions. I think Tim Southee's just worked it out. He's worked out how to be a top quality bowler in all sorts of conditions. 51 overs for 160 for the Pacers for New Zealand, 1 for 85 for India, and then you look at the spinners. It's just a stark difference from the Indian point of view to the New Zealand point of view. So I just think Tim Southee's worked it out, and I've talked about him a lot throughout this first Test. He is such a good quality bowler with that 3/4 ball that goes across. They still swung the ball. Rahul Dravid had a chat to me prior to Day's play on Thursday, I think. He said, "Why do you think the New Zealanders are swinging the ball more than the Indian bowlers?" I think the wrist positions are so much better. Kyle Jamieson gets wickets because of his bounce. As much as the pace, he's only in that 135 to 137 mark, but it's the bounce that's disconcerting for Jamieson. And so I just think at the moment, they probably just have slightly better skills. I think Ishant, it looks like he's just a little bit heavy-legged and struggling, and Umesh probably needs a little bit more pace in the surface, or he needs genuine reverse swing.
And now, Dooley, they're going to Mumbai, which obviously has a little more bounce in the wicket, as you would have seen a million times in IPL as well. A great wicket. It gives enough for the fast bowlers, and there's obviously a lot for the spinners from day 3. What would the changes? What do you think about a Neil Wagner, and what are the changes do you see for the New Zealand 11 as well?
New Zealand, they're going to bring Neil Wagner in. I think they have to. That's one of the keys. Who does he come in for at the moment? They can't drop Rachin Ravindra after that performance today, I don't believe, and he does offer you something with the ball. It just means that if Ajaz Patel and Ravindra play, you've got 2 left-arm spinners. You don't have an off-spin option. Will Somerville went wicketless, although he batted beautifully. He's not in the team for his batting. So I'm saying that Wagner comes in for Will Somerville, and New Zealand go with the 2 right-arm seamers, Wagner, and then the 2 left-arm spinners. And I think that would be the only change I would make to the New Zealand side. I want to see Wagner in Mumbai with the pace and bounce that might be there early. And if New Zealand have to go that option, I think Will Somerville's probably the guy to miss out. I don't see anything else. I mean, you're on the outside looking in. Do you see any way they could drop a Ravindra? I just sort of can't at the moment.
No, in fact, I would go the other way and say I would, replace Neil Wagner with Rachin Ravindra, only because obviously he's not. They picked him as a batter who could bowl a bit, but obviously his bowling has not come to good in this Test match. But I don't think his batting is stood out. Yes, he's fought his way for to find ways where New Zealand can draw the Test match. But I think Will Somerville played a bigger role in that way in the first session to bat for how long he batted. So I mean, I would say go with your top 5 bowlers, and that would definitely have Will Somerville in it. So I would go 5 bowlers. It does lessen your batting a little bit. I completely agree. But I do think there is a bit of batting in Will Somerville as well. So he can give you something with the bat. At the end of the day, you want your main batters to do a bulk of the scoring. And if obviously all, even in a T20, they have preferred to go with 5 bowlers and 6 batters, with Santner coming in at 7 through the World Cup. So that's something Kane Williamson is not too worried about, playing 6 batters who are solid and 5 good bowlers. So I think Kane Williamson will try and go in the direction of obviously having Neil Wagner in for Rachin Ravindra. I think it'll be very interesting to see which way he goes, whether it's going to be your way or my way. It has to be one of the two. So let's see.
Yeah, Wagner, Somerville, and Jameson can all bat. So if they have to bat 7, 8, and 9, well, so be it. You're going to get 1 score, hopefully 1.5 scores, much like what India are doing. You know, what they get out of Ashwin, what they get out of Jadeja, what they get out of Akshar Patel. I don't have an issue with that if that's the way New Zealand choose to go as well. I'm always been in favour of picking your best bowlers. I just wonder whether Will Somerville is one of the best bowlers in this Test match. But time will tell, mate. We head to Mumbai tomorrow, and a few days warm up before the Test match gets underway. Yeah, 0-all in the Test series. Apologies for the internet disturbances, DK. Thank you very much for your time, mate. I look forward to the second Test match from Mumbai. First one has been wrapped up. It's been a draw in Kanpur, a fighting draw from a New Zealand point of view. 9 down at the end, bad light stopping play. Everyone was keen, everyone was interested. It ebbed and flowed just like a good Test match should. Let's hope Mumbai is exactly the same. DK and I'll be back with you from Mumbai after day 1 of the second Test match in 4 days' time. Thanks for watching Cricbuzz Chatter.